What's up, and welcome into Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Make sure that you like, share, subscribe, and comment to everything we do on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Whether you're listening on the podcast or checking us out on YouTube, thank you so much for your support. Presented by Neighborhood Housing Services of Chicago, nhschicago.org for Neighborhood Housing Services of Chicago. If you're looking to plant roots, looking to be able to have your own home, or someone that you know is looking to have their first home, check out Neighborhood Housing Services of Chicago. nhschicago.org is where you go for Neighborhood Housing Services of Chicago. I hope that you had a great weekend. I just want to stop by to talk a little bit about Tom Ricketts because Tom Ricketts did the thing. Tom Ricketts did the thing. He said something that Jerry Reinsdorf does not say, or George McCaskey doesn't say, or the Wirtz Corporation doesn't say. He said something that Joe Mansueto of the Chicago Fire doesn't say, or Michael Alter of the Sky. They never say what Tom Ricketts said on Monday to the press. His quote was, "We have to win more World Series." I mean, it's about winning. All this other stuff, it all leads to one thing, and that's about winning. We just have to put the kind of teams on the field that can be in the playoffs every year and get back on top. Whoa. Tom Ricketts talked about trying to win another World Series championship. And you say, Jay Hood, why is that a big deal? Why do you think that that's a big idea? Why did you hit record to talk about this? The reason why this is a big deal, especially for you, the Cub fan, is that Tom Ricketts said something that White Sox ownership doesn't say, or the Blackhawks, or any other team around here, or maybe even the Midwest. They never talk about winning a World Championship. Tom Ricketts could have easily just relied on that first championship in his tenure. He's been the owner for 17 seasons. He could have just laid back like, hey, I got you the World Series championship, and that's good enough. Tom Ricketts said in front of an open microphone that he wants to win another World Series championship. He wants to be able to get back on top. You've got to love that if you're a Cubs fan. I understand that the Ricketts Corporation is not the Wrigley Company or Sam Zell or some of these, or the Tribune Company, some of these other owners for the Chicago Cubs over the years. But the point is that Tom Ricketts did the thing. He said it. So that means the pressure's on Craig Counsell, the players, the team, to be able to get past the Milwaukee Brewers and to be able to get to the Dodgers Invitational Tournament. And that is the National League pennant. Because that's what it really comes down to, right? The Dodgers are playing a whole different game than everyone else. But the point is that the Cubs have to be able to win the division, get past the Brewers, and then just keep moving. You know, anything less is unsatisfactory because the owner says we got to get back on top. And so you think about this upcoming season. It'll be very interesting for the Cubs because Cabrera is part of that rotation. And by the way, for this season, I think that the starting rotation is stacked for the Cubs. There should be no more piecemealing the team together from a starting pitching standpoint in October. Let's see, which long reliever can we bring in for an inning or two and then bring in someone else? No. Blessed with good health, the Chicago Cubs should be able to have a really solid rotation throughout the year. And even if there's an injury or two, you have enough depth to be able to back it up. And then from there, just having Bregman on the team helps. That's an upgrade from Tucker, in my view, the beige wall that was Tucker in right field. Happ, Suzuki, with Bregman, with PCA, with Swanson and Horner and Bush and Kelly. I think that the Cubs have enough on-base percentage, enough rat-a-tat-tat in that offense to be able to do some damage this year, and not just the bridesmaids of the Brewers. This team should be good enough up to the deadline to be able to do some damage and then add on to the deadline. If you got to trade some pieces and you feel like you're close, you definitely make some deals. You don't just say we misread the market, all that BS that we heard last year. If you're a Cubs fan, you should be demanding this because this bridesmaid stuff is not good enough to lose the Brewers because this becomes a Bears versus Packers situation this year. So those Cubs-Brewers matchups should be a lot of fun. But I think that this is the quote that you should think about for the spring and summer if you're a Cub fan. We have to win more World Series, says Tom Ricketts. I mean, it's all about winning, all this other stuff. It all leads to one thing, and that's about winning. We have to put the kind of teams on the field that can be in the playoffs every year and get back on top. The expectations have heightened at Clark and Addison, and it should. So I think that that's just pretty good and a pretty bold statement because no other owners around here are talking about trying to get to a championship. No one talks about how they enjoy the winning, but they got to get back on top again. And so, Ricketts says, obviously, we want to win the division. We should win the division. It's just a matter of executing, staying healthy. And I think that we should be right there. You want to win the division for a lot of reasons, not just because it's aggravating not to, but you also want to put yourself in the best position for the playoffs. So hopefully that we will. Yeah, Ricketts has a lot to say. And so it's not up to me or you or the sun in the sky. It's about the Cubs trying to execute and to be able to win the division, prove who you are against the Brewers, because that's a tough matchup. No matter what the Brewers don't have, it's still Pat Murphy in that dugout. So let's see what the Cubs can do this year. I look forward to seeing that. Oh, by the way, something else too from the weekend. I saw zero of All-Star Weekend for the NBA. And if you watch this podcast, listen to me for 1 minute, you know how much I love basketball, college and pro. But I saw zero. Under the weather, that's one thing I was. But the other thing is that I just wasn't going to fall for the okie doke when it comes to the All-Star Weekend. If there's something I was going to miss, I'd read about it or see clips on social media. Because I produced this, I have hosted this on many platforms around this time. This is what happens. You get past the Super Bowl, then all of a sudden, people are missing their football and say, I miss my football. Let me see what's happening with the NBA. Oh, the NBA sucks. The NBA sucks. I did an entire podcast last week talking about the good and the questionable about the NBA last week. So you can check that out if you care to. But I'm just want to just point this out. For those usually that don't like the NBA, that's because their favorite team usually sucks. And they pine for the 80s and 90s, and you're not getting that kind of basketball anymore in 2025. We understand the problems with the league, but I just find it interesting that no one pays attention until there's no football, and all of a sudden, the NBA All-Star Weekend sucks. Dude, I've dealt that hand. I have talked about this. I have produced this for a better part of 15 years. I ain't trying to fix the All-Star Weekend because it doesn't matter. It's like when people talk about trying to fix the Pro Bowl or trying to fix some of these all-star games around sports. I couldn't care less. That's the time off away from the grind of these leagues. I couldn't care less. I hear these shows while I've been off, national and local, trying to figure out how to fix the NBA. How many times I've heard that show? Click. Not interested. Those that complain about the NBA has not watched the NBA, and then they get a chance to watch it of all places on All-Star Saturday night, and all of a sudden, the league sucks. I don't know these players because you don't watch. So who cares? By the way, I'd never believe in ratings and TV ratings because I've got family that's been in the business for, I guess, combined years, almost 90 years, I guess I could say quietly, that's been around media. So I never believe in ratings, radio or TV, because they're kind of made up. But I did read about the All-Star Weekend had 8.8 million over all the NBC platforms, 7.2 for the All-Star game on Fox for Major League Baseball, and the Pro Bowl drew 2 million on ESPN. I don't really believe in those numbers, but the point is, though, is that 8.8 million watched the NBA All-Star game. Whatever. I wasn't one of them. It's not because the NBA sucks. It's just because I found something else to do, watching college basketball and spending time on Valentine's Day doing other things besides deciding who's going to win the dunk contest. And I love basketball. If you watch me for 1 minute on this podcast or listen to me on the radio, you know how much I love college and pro basketball. But I'm not going to go into that vortex of phoniness that people talk about. And it's so disingenuous when people talk about, I can't believe how bad they all start. They only watch it because they want to bitch about it. You know it's not the same product as it was in 1990 at the All-Star Weekend. So why do you watch? Because you want to bitch about it? I don't bother. I never do. I look for things I enjoy versus things that I don't enjoy to talk to you about. So make sure that you like, share, subscribe, and comment to everything we do on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. I look forward to talking to you about some of the off-season moves for the Chicago Bears that could be happening. Spring training is here for baseball. It was in the 60s in the Chicagoland area, so I was able to go out today. There's a smile on my face because warm temperatures are coming. That means baseball's coming. That means the NBA playoffs are coming. That means that March Madness is right around the corner. So there's so much to look forward to, and we'll cover it all right here on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood, presented to you by Neighborhood Housing Services of Chicago. NHSchicago.org is where you go for Neighborhood Housing Services of Chicago. Boom, right there. Make sure you tell them J Hood sent you. And thanks so much, as always, for checking out Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. So long, everybody, from Chicago.